Since my previous projects always take weeks and months to complete, I wanted my next one to just take one single day. My idea was to create a simple space scene with a spaceship flying through an asteroid field surrounded by lots of debris. So I imported my spaceship into a whole new Blender scene, set the camera to view and adjusted the end clipping plane to a higher value. I also put the focal length to 200 for a long lens look. I then added an empty and parented all my spaceship parts to it. This I then animated on a straight line and set the interpolation mode to linear. This way the spaceship would move in a constant speed. I then also animated the rotation of the camera to follow the spaceship. I had some parts which I wanted to move, so I separated them and made sure that the origin point was where I wanted it to rotate. For the radar dish, I added 2 rotation keyframes, and while hovering over the timeline I pressed Shift E and linear extrapolation to have it go on indefinitely. The cannons I gave a simple rotation animation just for some interesting movement. I found a free TIE Fighter model online which I made look destroyed by subdividing a cube a bunch and turning up the fractal slider for some noise. I then used a boolean modifier to eat away parts of the wings. With some free engine scans I found on Sketchfab, I quickly detailed the inner part and then put it into the foreground, giving it a slight rotation animation. Next up, I wanted to create an asteroid field, so I found a good tutorial online on how to create asteroids fast. With this asteroid, I scaled up a cube to fill the whole scene and then used a particle system to scatter all the asteroids in the scene. From NASA's image gallery, I found an image of Earth which I put onto a plane with an emission shader. This I used as a background for the whole scene. But I took the same plane, duplicated it and scaled it way up and put it beneath the whole scene. This way light was coming from below, like there's a real planet there. You can now easily switch out the image file for a different one and the whole lighting will change as well. Just make sure to also add a sun lamp. For the spaceship engines I wanted to have more than just a simple glow, so I added a video of a blowing torch which I've tinted yellow. I then took the machine scans I've downloaded and cut out a bunch of smaller pieces, which I then put into their own collection and scattered around the scene as some sort of debris field. The bigger parts are placed in the scene by hand, making sure to give them a small amount of rotational animation. With everything in place, I've rendered out some first test renders which I took into Photoshop to give it a grade. Mostly happy with the result, I went back into Blender and changed some minor stuff I did not like. Also added some sparks to the debris, which weren't really noticeable in the end. As a last step, I added some stars with a noise texture and then rendered out the animation. In DaVinci Resolve I replicated the grade I did in Photoshop and also added some grain and a vignette. This is the result. I was curious, so I changed the planet image in the background, which gave it a totally different result. In the end, I'm quite happy with the result just for one day of work.